Hello, everyone. My name is Ray Stevens. I am a certified spiritual healer and the CEO and developer of Soulducate LLC, along with the Soulducate Sanctuary Candle Co. I know it has been forever since I actually posted a YouTube video, and I'm really trying my best to get back in it. I'm currently working on a lot of things. Over the past sort of 6 months, my life has taken a shift in unexpected different shifts and blessings that I didn't see coming towards me. But as you know, I have a candle company. I have been doing the candle business online for 2 years, and that profited enough to where I was able to actually open my own storefront in the town that I actually grew up in. So anyways, this all kind of combines in with what my life has been going through these past 6 months. And not just the past 6 months, but actually almost from the beginning through childhood on up. My core main activation started 12 years ago, and I was not aware of that. And through this journey, I actually learned where exactly these activations and soul contract activations came online. So 12 years ago, my twin flame soul contract was activated. 5 years ago, my soul self contract was activated. And 6 months ago, I was activated, even more triggered into activation. And here I sit with you, fully kind of sitting in my divine feminine, get that good balance of divine feminine and masculine going on. I have a lot more peace, a lot more balance, a lot more clarity. And because of this, and because I stayed true to faith and I trusted in the divine's plan for me, all these realizations, downloads, epiphanies, intuitive inspirations, everything started really awakening for me. A lot of psychic abilities, a lot of knowingness, just no more questioning, no more ego chatter, and no more dark thoughts of the past. All those things have begun to subside for me. And even if I do feel them creeping up, I'm able to catch them and use my spiritual tools to eliminate them from my mindset. So anyways, if you were guided to this video, or if you came across it through your YouTube platform, then you probably caught that word lightworker. And we're going to be talking about discovering your life path, your divine path as a light worker. Because just as I was discussing, like, I know I was sitting here for a purpose. And sometimes the phrase light worker doesn't even come into our auric field until much later on in our journey. But I've always known that I had a destined path. I just didn't know what it was. And lightworker comes in so many different forms and aspects. So if this is something that you've been experiencing and something that is being called for you to dive deeper into, then stick around. We have a great video for you today. So welcome back. And as discussed in the intro, we're talking about divine purpose, life path, everything we need to know along our spiritual ascension journey. And specifically, I want to break this video down into parts. I want to break it down into what is a light worker, what is not a light worker. How do we realize that we are actually a light worker? And how do we determine our divine path as a light worker? That specific path, there's a secret to it. There's an easy secret that sometimes takes people so long to figure out. I feel like it took me forever to grasp the concept of figuring out my life purpose. If I say a phrase to you such as light worker, soul mission, divine path, twin flame, galactic origination, if those phrases come into your mindset and you feel something, at a heart level, a soul level, not a label level. A lot of people want to start labeling themselves when they sort of come online, or they, even if they're around people who are incorporating their spiritual essence and divine path into their lives currently, they will want to also like label themselves like, maybe I'm this or maybe I'm that. That is not what we're talking about here. We are talking about when you feel it at a soul level. And when you feel that at a heart level, then that means you're getting the call. When that call comes in, that's the God call. That's the divine source, innate intelligence. That's the call telling you, hey, wake up. You're here to serve a purpose, and you're wasting your time just ruminating and hanging out in the three-dimensional world, and there's so much more to you. So when you start feeling pulled towards things like you're learning about your birth chart, your Akashic records, past lives, galactic origination, crystals, tarot cards, sound frequency, sound healing, sacred geometry, archangels, ancestors, God, spirit, angels, universe, all that stuff starts coming into you, your chakras, kundalini, all of this stuff is a part of our true, authentic self, our soul self, our spiritual essence. And we have been so conditioned in society and through childhood and growing up that a lot of these concepts get suppressed, and they're never acknowledged, they're never mentioned, they're actually kind of looked at as taboo or woo-woo or witchcraft or whatever people want to call it, when they actually don't feel like doing that deep, deep work. When you start to become activated into your divine purpose and that contract is activated online, there will be a lot of things that you'll experience. You can experience these harsh physical symptoms. Lord knows I did. And you can either make a choice at that time to give up or keep prevailing. You can keep going forward and not sit in that victim consciousness, because that victim consciousness is a killer. It puts us into that depression, that lack mentality, that low self-worth. Whatever you do, save yourself, and don't ever put yourself at that victim consciousness, that, or even giving somebody else the power by saying, well, they didn't tell me to do this, or they didn't say I could do this. That is still a victim consciousness. Whenever you put yourself in a position of not being in power over your choices, that is you giving up your power. That is going backwards. And we do not ever want to go backwards in this spiritual journey. When you feel these sort of ascension activations, or a lot of people will call them ascension symptoms, please go to the doctor. If you feel like there's something wrong with you, go to the doctor. Let them check you out. Eliminate any physical three-dimensional diseases or inabilities or things that would need to be cured medically. Now, once you go through all the experiences with the doctors and the medical system, and they keep telling you you're normal, then you know what? That's when it's time for you to be the healer. You will be the healer, and this is what will be directing you to your divine path. Once we start stepping into that self-healing mode, and we kind of start departing away from that three-dimensional medical system, we don't want to be on prescription medicines. If you are, that's fine. But you'll notice as you do start healing yourself, things like that can actually start to be tapered off, because our bodies are self-healing and self-regulating in about 90% of everything that comes into our health. So you'll start really questioning things. You'll start wanting to deep dive in the story of Christ and Christ consciousness, learning about God's source energy and how it runs and pervades throughout our body and our system, our chakras, our energy codes, our light codes, how we integrate all of this stuff will just start coming to you. And you're going to get a really fierce sort of knowing, like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what I am. I want to know my abilities. I want to know my powers. And all of these things lie within us. And it's all of these things that have been taken away from our knowing throughout our human existence. Back in April of 2022, I was triggered into my deepest, darkest elevation experience of my whole journey. I thought the physical stuff back years ago that I healed on my own was harsh, and it was. I'm not sidestepping any of that or anybody who's experiencing this stuff now. It was harsh. And the physical symptoms have continued to come along throughout the levels of activation, the levels of my elevation. They are just in different forms now. And they can, yes, be very, very debilitating at times. I've had weeks, like in the month of August and September, I had whole week-long spans where it was a struggle. Like I was struggling because I just felt so emotionally dark and physically just depleted, so tired, so out of it, that it was hard for me to get motivated to do anything other than what was necessary for me to be doing. And it was my trust and faith in this experience I was having, that it was happening for a reason, and I was feeling it for a reason. And the reason for me was because I was being upgraded. These upgrades happen to our cellular system, our nervous system. We're purging things, and that will leave voids in you. Those voids will have to be filled with your own positive intentions and your own interactions with spirit. So as I said before, I was having a really hard time figuring out what my purpose was. I've been doing this Soulducate education for the soul business for a long time. It's been an LLC for a long time, and I have actually changed the importance or the main focal point of Soulducate LLC numerous times. I actually spent a span of time working one-on-one with women in the aspect of what I thought my destined path was. Well, it did not feel good. Actually, I kind of hated it. I hated listening to people make excuses for the problems they create in their life. But you know what? That told me that I needed to keep going further. That was not my stopping point, because if that was my stopping point, or if that was even a spot where I was supposed to sort of work around or maneuver in, then it would have felt good. It would have resonated. It would have been something I wanted to do, but I didn't like it at all. And I ended up cutting those sessions off, and I felt a lot better, a lot freer. And then I continued to do more within myself. So from April till now, the purging for me has been extreme. It has been extreme because I just kept saying, like, I thought I worked through this. I thought this was gone, but it wasn't. I was still holding on to a lot of shit that was buried, a lot of shit that I was actually sweeping under the rug to try and move forward. And it's not that I was consciously doing that. I was subconsciously doing that. That meant I was unaware of all the bypassing and sweeping under the rug that I was doing. And God said no, because there was a point in time where I actually started disrespecting myself by allowing the chaos of others to consume my life and trying to intermingle and shift the chaos and correct the chaos that literally had nothing to do with me or nothing to do with anything I've ever been a part of. So God shifted this life, this timeline for me. I also did energy work right before all this stuff happened to shift my own timeline. And when you decide to do that, please make sure you know what you're doing, because I I thought I knew what was going on because I thought I was shifting a timeline within one area of my life, and I actually shifted a timeline in a completely different area of my life. But it was necessary for whatever reason. That sort of work was brought to me. That sort of work was made for me to be able to utilize as a resource, and from it became harsh realities, emotional upsets, very dark purging, very kind of almost just mind-boggling, gut-wrenching purging. I can't even explain it, because if I explained it, or if somebody would have saw it, I would have probably been put in a psychiatric ward or something, because it was that powerful and that volatile. Fortunately for me, this happened over the course of time when I was alone. I was completely alone. My son was with his father, and I was actually 100% alone. I do believe that 5 years ago, if I would have started on my spiritual journey and developed into it alone, I would have been a lot further along before now. I feel like I sort of disrupted that order, that divine order, but nevertheless, it's always going to come into your field. If you are a chosen one and you have light work to do, your healing is going to come online. And as a divine feminine, you will know, you will have a knowing that you are divine feminine. You will have angels coming to you. You will have God speaking to you. You will have signs, synchronicities. You will have prophetic numbers coming to you, activation codes. Those numbers you see, those 111, 222, 1111, 555, all of those numbers, 144. I don't know if you are a part of those protected by God through tribulation, you are going to see a lot of 144, a lot of 4 activations, 444, 144. That's what those are. They are activation codes. And I would advise to do deep diving when you get those activation codes and you see them. Go online, look it up. You can type in spiritual meaning of 111, biblical meaning of 111, twin flame meaning of 111, and you read them and you take in whatever is resonating with your situation at that time. These are meant to activate you, and they will, because you'll start seeing, you'll actually learn about them and you'll see them, and that's how the divine is speaking to you through code. Okay, so don't bypass the numbers. They are important. Numbers, it's the language of the universe. That's how angels, guides, God, Christ, ascended masters, that's how they speak to us. They can't just come in and speak to us face to face. A lot of the times, unless they're doing it through a human vessel, they can't do that because their essence is so high frequency that we wouldn't even be able to stand it. It's so high frequency. Animals are messengers, are divine messengers too. Even insects are bugs. One example that I had in my life was when I was having an interaction with a person whom I have a very deep connection to, and I was interacting with this person, and things were very deep and sad and emotional for me. And as I was talking to this person, there was a big yellow butterfly that just kept flying over their head. And I know yellow butterflies have a significant spiritual meaning. Butterflies as a whole have a significant spiritual meaning. So that actually calmed me, because at that moment I knew what was happening. Like, I'm okay, here I am. I'm distraught. I'm frustrated. I'm crying. I'm just wanting answers. And the person could not give me answers. So God, angel, universe, it gave me answers with that yellow butterfly just hovering there out of nowhere. Just that yellow butterfly hovering over that person's head. So later on, I went and asked for define that. Like, what does that mean? Like, please, God, define that for me, because this time is really hard for me. And the next morning when I woke up, I had a notification on my phone from YouTube. And I don't even remember what video was it, or even what the channel was. But I listened to a lot of like archangel channels, divine messenger channels, a lot of higher consciousness stuff. And this one might have even been some sort of card reading or spiritual message. But I clicked on it and I played it. It had nothing to do with butterflies or anything, but it was like a 3-minute video. And it said, you may be seeing yellow butterflies. One thing Spirit wants to tell you is to not let your ego block the concept of metamorphosis. Wow. So that means that was my ego needing answers, questioning things, constantly like going at this. And it's hard to control the ego, because the moment a light worker, a divine mission vessel soul shifts into the love state, that dark energy, it comes in, it wants to destroy, it wants to shift it back. And when we don't have control of our ego and we don't know what's happening, it's hard to always get pulled back. And we don't want that to happen. So once we've come online and we've been activated, we have a mission, we have a purpose for divine is going to do whatever that spiritual council has to do to keep that soul aligned. Like, hey, you're not alone, we're here. You're okay, you're protected. Quit freaking out. And, I had many more freakouts and I had many more activations and many more signs and synchronicities to help me along the way. So, what is a light worker? A light worker is essentially a divine messenger and a spiritual activator. A light worker is here to provide humanity with the necessary tools to awaken their own divine essence. The way that they awaken humanity is by being the inspiration. A true light worker is not going to be a solicitor. A true light worker is not going to be trying to pull people over to thinking the way they think. Light workers are here to experience, heal, and inspire. Experience, heal, inspire. Inspiration requires no convincing. You don't have to convince anybody of your gifts and what you can provide for them. Because once you are the inspiration, those souls that need your spiritual tools are going to come to you. They're going to show up. God is going to put you into a position and in a path to where you will meet those souls that need you. That requires no effort from the human vessel other than self-healing. The light worker has to self-heal. If you feel like you're here for a divine mission and you're constantly doing the old knock on door, let me talk to you, here's a pamphlet, that you're not doing your light work. Because a person who is centered within self and they're being the inspiration, they don't have to go and physically pull people to them. Those people will find them. They will put themselves inside of you can put yourself inside of a church, a store, a retreat center, a website, a Facebook page. You post your inspirations on social media. Share your meditation gifts and your light work on YouTube. The soul family will come. Your people that are wanting to hear your voice will come. It's not about followers. It's not about numbers. It's not about money. You will be well compensated when you are doing your divine work, your true divine work. And another thing I'd like to say about that is there are also a lot of false light workers who have a lot of money. And this is how we go into what is not a light worker. What is not a light worker? These folks who claim to be light workers, who are luring through lavish material goods, they're luring through making you promises of financial gains rapidly through using their techniques. They're luring you by saying, find your soulmate now. They're luring by saying, make him chase you. That's not a light worker, guys. That's not a light worker even a little bit. You know, the devil comes clothed in angel light. If the devil was going to come to you, do you think the devil would come to you looking like the devil? No, because you'll be like, I don't want none of that. You're not good. You're bad. No, they're going to be beautiful. They're going to have everything that you want on the 3-dimensional monkey mind level. Don't get me wrong. Money is great. Money is freedom. But you have to have that inner freedom and inner balance before you can even value the concept of monetary freedom. Because if you don't have that inner freedom, balance, peace, clarity, you're going to be allowing the money to spend you instead of you spending the money. And when money spends you, you get depleted and then you lose your value and you become overconsumed with things that you have no control over. What you do have control over is your own inner peace. And what you do have control over is what you place value in and what you place your power in. Do not get blindsided by desperation. And I know when we start on this spiritual journey, you almost become so desperate to figure out why things are happening, what's going on, how can I heal? Do I use this tool, this thing? Nothing external of you is going to get you to where you need to be internally. All this stuff, all the crystals, the cards, the books, the sage, the Apollo, all that stuff is icing on the cake when you learn how to transmute energy. All those are energy tools. When you learn how to transmute that energy and you learn where the energy goes and what the energy does and how the energy can affect your life, that's when you add that icing on the cake. Until then, you're just spiritual bypassing and you're actually opening up energetic portals and you don't even realize it. These energetic portals can pull in whatever entities lurking around waiting to attach to something, and we don't want to do that. We want to be able to stay within our love and light, because when we start doing energy work and we don't know what we're doing, that's when things can get really dark really fast. And I know a lot of people have experienced it. I experienced it. You know, I started knowing that I had gifts a long time ago. I actually knew I had gifts at a very young age. And I did dabble in things like spell work and stuff like that I don't do now. Because a lot of that stuff is considered black magic and we don't even realize it, guys. And it's things that you wouldn't think are black magic are black magic. Like if you are actually performing some sort of spell or ritual to manipulate someone's free will, that is black magic. Okay, so we don't want to do that, because what happens is it comes back on you tenfold and you will experience that karma. You will experience the wrath of doing that, tapping into someone's energy when you have no business being there. So don't get swayed by the false light worker, the fake gurus, all those folks that are out there saying that they can do this for you. They can turn your $1,000 into $1 million if you just join their 6-month course for thousands of dollars. It's like, don't fall for it. And we make these mistakes because we get desperate. And when we come online and we're learning about our energy work, it's real easy to get manipulated because we are in such a vulnerable state. And there are vultures out there that can sniff people out who are in these stages of their life, and they will pounce. So this is why it is essential to come online with developing your intuition and your knowing, so that you know what's real and what's false, what's light and what's dark, what's the good way to go and what's the bad way to go. Next up is how to realize that you are a light worker. Realizing that you're a light worker is simply the call to transform. If you've been placed in a situation in your life that requires transformation, then you are most likely a light worker, because this transformation will bring you into your knowing. It will bring you into all of these intuitive insights and these things that you actually start to discover about your soul essence and your true self at a soul level. Light workers will go through life circumstances that would physically break anybody else. A lot of the circumstances that light workers go through would be debilitating to other people. Other people would not be able to make it through. Other people would give up. But light workers don't, because, well, when you're a light worker and you stay on mission, you stay on path, and you don't use your free will to go backwards, you gain spiritual clarity. And you start gaining knowledge that you're not even aware of it. But that knowledge makes you have faith, and it makes you have trust in the divine. And that is what gets you through the transformation, because it's never giving up. And actually, if you go through one harsh transformation and another one comes up and you just feel like you're just keep going, that's okay. Because that is more and more muck that you're cleaning out of your energy system. If you think about how many lifetimes and how many things that we've consumed in negativity within our energy system, it's astronomical. It's undescribable. And a lot of us that are here right now that are light workers, this is our last life on earth. Which that means when it's our last life on earth, we will spend all eternity with our Heavenly Father as long as we follow our divine mission on earth. And if it is your last life on earth and your destiny is to spend all eternity with our Heavenly Father, God will literally not let you take any other path. It just won't happen. I can't even sit and watch TV anymore, hardly. Like the last time I took like a couple days off work last month. I've been having to use it up a lot of vacation days. So I was like, I'm just going to have a lazy day and sit around and watch TV. Well, I literally couldn't find nothing on Netflix that was good. So I ended up watching, I think I ended up listening to a conference or talk on archangels. I know it sounds lame on a monkey mind, human surface level. And as time goes on and you start balancing that energy and you start knowing like right from wrong, these sort of entertainment means they become where you can utilize them more. It's just, God's not going to allow you to fall back in those behavior patterns that you had before of wasting whole days sitting around the couch, binge eating, watching murder mysteries or whatever. That's not going to exist in your life anymore. You can enjoy the movies, you can enjoy a show series, but it's going to be in increments of time when you don't have any other priorities going on. When you're a light worker, you are going to fight the most demony of all demons, your shadow self. And that shadow self goes deep and it goes dark very quick. And the moment that we fall back into allowing our ego to take over our heart, that's when that demon keeps rearing its ugly head and making you feel like a lunatic. I did indeed feel like a lunatic quite a few times, and I did indeed project myself out and allow myself to externally show that rage. And although I'm not saying it didn't feel good, but it felt good on a level of knowing that I didn't really accomplish anything other than purging some rage, which was good. But I didn't need to do it in front of somebody or in front of people. I later on started purging rage when I was alone in my room. And that can be the old screaming into a pillow trick. That works. You can visualize things. You could visualize throwing shit and smashing shit if you really want to. And just let it out. And then when you cry to release. When you're crying, intuitively tell yourself, I'm releasing jealousy. I'm releasing jealousy. I'm releasing fear. I'm releasing codependency. I'm releasing all this. That is what the cry is for. You're shedding tears, but you're shedding old layers. Allow it to let you shed old layers and old patterns. Because whatever triggered you, Lightworker, into that state of rage, that means that was living within you in your shadow system. And your ego is always going to bring that up for you because it has to be cleared. And there were nights I did so much purging and crying and screaming and just craziness alone. Nobody here to help me. Nobody telling me how to transcend my energy. Because when you learn how to pray and meditate, you get these answers. You ask, you pray, you meditate to receive. That's how it works. You got people that pray and they never meditate. How do they get those answers? I don't know. Because I get my answers through meditation. I ask through prayer. You have the power to have power over the ascension and power over the transformation. Do not let the transformation have power over you, because sometimes we are not intelligent enough, not spiritually and emotionally intelligent enough to allow those things to have power over us. So we do have to use, in essence, we have to use a little bit of logic in saying, I think I can, and then I feel I can. This is saying, hey, I know what's happening here. This is saying, I'm clearing this shit out of me for good. This is saying, I know I need to call on my angels and ancestors and ascended masters for help. I know they can help me. This is feeling them coming in and helping you. Feeling them, letting them take that negativity and transmute it. That's what happens. They can do that, and they do. The more you get out of your head and into your heart is the more the Lightworker skills start coming online. And the more power you have, the more peace. There is power in peace. If you don't have peace in your life, you don't have power. If you constantly have problems with things, you are powerless. Get into your power, because you cannot do divine work if you are powerless. Because if you are powerless, you're not aware and you're not honoring what God has gifted you. So here is the best part of the video: determining your life purpose. There is one word for determining your life purpose, your divine path. Can you guess what it is? It's wounds. Think about it. Think about your worst wound. That is the basis of the activation of your divine purpose and your divine life path. Where the wound is where the gift comes from. As we discussed earlier, the Lightworker is here on a healing journey. And through this healing journey, this is how we develop our healing tools, our spiritual tools. This is how we get more connected with God's source, angels, universe. This is how we start to have that clarity and peace and balance within. Guys, we're not looking to be happy. I actually kind of almost despise that word happy anymore nowadays, because happiness is a result of the choices you make. Happy is just something that happens naturally through the choice of becoming aligned in your own peace and balance and harmony and clarity, which requires work at a soul level and an inner knowing level. There's people that walk around saying, I'm not happy. Well, who gives a shit if you're not happy? Because that's nobody's problem but your own. And you have to make a choice. You have to choose, how are you going to create your own happiness? There is a wound that is causing you to feel unhappy. There's a trigger that's causing you to make bad choices time after time after time. There's an inability of emotional maturity that leads you in the wrong direction constantly. And you allow it. I'm not judging. This was me. This is how I know. Because everybody just wants to be happy. But you choose happy. You choose happy. We can actually take a look at what is it that we find ourselves providing to other people the most that makes us feel undervalued when we're not getting the response that we desire. What are we trying to provide? Are we trying to provide love to people and we feel it's undervalued? Are we trying to provide support, security? Like, look at what you do the most. Like, a joy? Are you just always wanting to make people feel loved? And then you feel undervalued because you're not getting the response that you need? Well, the reason for it, Lightworker, is because you're not loving yourself. You're actually disrespecting yourself by constantly trying to feed that need of control to make other people feel loved. Because it's also those people's job to make themselves feel loved. They don't need you to love them. You need to love you, and they need to love them, so you guys can be lovable together. Because if one is giving more to the other, this one's always going to get depleted. And there's no win-win. That's win-lose. If you're trying to provide support for somebody and that person doesn't support themselves, you're just going to deplete yourself. You see that, I see that a lot with, let's say, people who have adult kids, and then those kids have kids, but they're incompetent, they can't parent. So the grandparents end up parenting the grandkids. And then oftentimes those people who are actually the parents, they just don't give no fucks, and they go off and do whatever they want because they know somebody else is taking care of their bullshit. And I'm not saying kids are bullshit, but the situation is that person's bullshit. And it depletes the people who did not make that life choice. You cannot be of divine service if you are depleting yourself for the sake of other people who refuse to make good choices on their own. So I have a quote by Henry Nouwen, and this is the best quote that I was able to find. If you're interested, he has a book called The Wounded Healer, and the Wounded Healer book discusses essentially light workers and people who are here for divine service, and how we have to feel the wounds in order to heal, to be the healer. So this is the quote by Henry that I absolutely love, and it has almost become my mantra through knowing my divine path. So the quote is, his service will not be perceived as authentic unless it comes from a heart wounded by the suffering about which he speaks. Let me say that again. His service will not be perceived as authentic. Nobody will see you as real unless it comes from a heart wounded, you felt the wound, by the suffering. You did the inner work, you purged it, you cleared, about which he speaks, the healer, the wounded healer. In all essence, this means do the work. If you're wounded, if you've fallen on harsh times, if you've fallen into toxicity and horrible behavior patterns, why is it happening? How can you do the work? And think of how many people you can provide service to through your healing work. A lot. You can heal a lot of people just by you healing. Even energetically, you can heal people that you don't even know you're healing. You can touch people's lives without saying a peep to them. You can touch their lives and transform their lives without even knowing of their existence, because you chose to heal. And that is healing humanity, which is divine work, light work, divine light work. So would you guys like to know what my divine purpose is that I figured out? I never would have guessed this for myself, because I never acknowledged it. What should have kind of told me something when I started becoming more spiritually based within my mindset and my heart space, that not really ever addressing this kind of would have been a thing, because it's complete Christ consciousness. It's the whole point of evolution and God source energy and Christ consciousness is love. So what I have gathered and what I have been intuitively, divinely told is that I am an earth angel and I was sent here to teach people about love. I had never experienced love until I came online with my twin flame. And that's another story. I'm in the works right now with the twin flame stuff, because it's not what people think. And there's a lot of backwards stuff that's put online about the whole journey. And it's not about it's not a two-person thing. Let me just say that. So anyways, mine was love, learning how to love, feeling love for self. And love for your children is it's in a different aspect. That is not, your children are here on their own experience. It's your job to structure them so they can stay in a knowing that they have the power to create their own destiny. They are the creator, and as long as they have a clear channel to receive that information, they will always be on the right path. Kids get fucked up because their parents fuck them up. That's all there is to it. That's why we have fucked up adults having to do all this crazy work, because at some point in time, they had adults that didn't know what the hell they were doing with children. But we chose those adults so we could heal through these wounds and we could become healers. So this is how it works. Your wound is your divine path. Now, what the hell? Like, okay. So my wound was love. My wound was love. Now, if your wound is love, follow along with me. So let's dissect this whole love thing. What aspect of love was the wound? It could be one or multiple. Was it never having love? Was it chasing love? Was it getting love and then it disappearing? So on a deeper level, the never having love would translate to a worthiness problem. That's a worthiness wound. You'll have to work through and discover how to find yourself worthy of the things that you desire to have within love in your life. The chasing love automatically translates to codependency. Because if you had to chase love all your life, you're going to start doing codependency traits. And a lot of people look at codependency as somebody who's like leechy and latches onto people. But really, in reality, codependency is somebody with an insatiable need for control. Because if they control things and they control people, then those people will never leave them, right? Which leads us into the last one of abandonment. Was your love wound love that came and then left? Let's say you had a parent that was like always coming in and then they leave. That would cause an abandonment wound. So it's these wounds that lie dormant within us over the years, and we pile them up, and we do toxic patterns in adulthood to compensate, to fill that wound or to find love. We're always looking for love, trying to feel worthy, but all along we're just devaluing ourselves. It's really sad what the links that people go through to sort of fill these voids that they don't realize are wounds that can be taken out of them, so they can feel that balance, that peace, that happy. So it's my mission to teach people about love, and honestly, my mission is to teach people about forgiveness through love, and that is something that was huge for me, because even if the person does not exist in your life anymore, even if the person is deceased, you can still work with them and forgive them. If you have resentment against a parent, you don't even have to tell them that. Even if they're living, you can still do your healing work in forgiving them. You don't have to tell them what they did to you, when they did it, how it made you feel, because that's not their wound. That's your wound. Don't give them the power of having control over your wound, because most likely those people are still the same. They're not even going to see it as anything that they did wrong, because they're probably a little self-centered, egotistical, and living outside of their divine path themselves. They're not going to see it. And the more you try and go to these people and talk through it and do all this stuff, it just puts you further and further behind on your ascension and your abundance and your bliss life. I never would have thought in a million years I would be making and selling candles, let alone having a store, which I love so much. I love having this store. It lights me up. And there's so many people I've met. And my candles, they're intention candles. And the point behind it is to teach people their self-love. I have the moon ritual candles, which have meditational prayers on them, so people can get activated inside when they say that, and they're using the energy of the moon phase to do that and set those intentions. There's one candle called Magical Mama, and on the label, it literally says a mantra of, I give the same amount of love to me that I give to others. You have to do that. You don't want to burn yourself out and deplete yourself. There's grounded, which gets us grounded into Mother Earth. We love ourselves when we're grounded into Mother Earth because it's healing energy. My whole candle line is literally my spiritual journey. And I love it. And the people are kind of like, oh, that's really cool when I tell them that. And they come in and they ask, do you make these yourself? And I'm like, yeah. It's like I literally design everything from start to finish, and I make it myself, and I open the store, and the candles are my journey. The labels, the mantras, the prayers that are on all the labels, the crystals, the herbs, everything that's in them, it's all a part of my journey. And it's the journey that I want to share with everybody, because everybody deserves healing. We all have the same gifts. It's just some of us came here on different missions and different contracts, and we're healing different things. And mine is, I had to heal love within me. I had to know that I was deserving of love. I'm deserving of divine love. And the only person that can give that to me is me. So when I love me, everything else around me loves me too. You call in your divine counterpart. You call in that alignment. You call in that bliss and abundance. The money loves you. You want money? Love yourself. Love yourself. That's all you have to do. But you also have to do the work, heal the wounds, be the healer, figure out your divine path, and figure out your soul family. Because there is always someone who was in the same place you were all those years ago when your journey first began. And it's those ones that need you now, because you were given the gift to provide the proper communication to them to trigger something within them to heal. So don't let that ego get in your way. Don't block your heart. Those of you with the love wound, don't block your heart. My gosh. Love is what we got. You know, even through Christ consciousness and the forgiveness, forgive them for they know not what they do. We didn't know what we were doing. I did a lot of hurtful shit to people. And I have had to feel through that hurt of others that I chose to cause. But I'm never giving up. I will feel it. I'll feel it to my core. And I'll heal it. And I'll transmute it. And I'll fill it with divine light energy. And because of that, God will say, go get them, girl. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this helps you. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. The website I have posted down below in the description. Check out my candle company. If you're local, come see me. Come talk to me. I have a lot of people that come in, and we talk about spiritual stuff. They ask questions. I give insight. I love it. I love the in-person stuff because it really gives me the chance to connect with that energy. So don't be afraid to reach out. You're never alone. Always, always call on your angels. If you are having negative thoughts, call on Archangel Jophiel. Ask her, beautify my thoughts. Archangel Jophiel, please beautify my thoughts. If you got that ego chatter, ask Archangel Michael to get his sword and cut through the cords of the ego chatter. Archangel Michael, I am struggling. Please come through with your sword and cut the cords of the ego chatter. Give them permission. They're waiting. They're just waiting all around you to serve you. That's their divine purpose. So let them. The power, the power is significant. The healing is significant, and it happens in a matter of seconds to minutes. You'll feel it, and you'll know it, And then you'll start researching more on archangels and what they can do for you and help you. And then you'll just know intuitively at any moment what you can call on, who you can call on to help you. And if you don't know at all, just say, Spirit, angels, guides, universe, God, angels, universe, whatever you got to say, come through and help me. Help me transmute this negative, dark energy. I'm struggling. Help me. Help me heal these wounds. God, give me grace. They're powerful words. Your intentions are everything. Positive intentions are magic. All right. Till next time, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.